Hi everybody, it is time for a new day, a new pattern. Oops, my phone turned on me. Okay, go to pattern-collections.com to find today's pattern. Scroll down to pattern focus. Make sure you're doing the dash in pattern-collections. If you don't do the dash, you don't go to the right place. Let's see, today is the 12th. We need that one. Today is the 12th, right? Yes. Okay, this one is called Flower in the Middle. There's another one by Linda Ray. This one was redrawn by Cindy Anderson, so thank you, Cindy, for that. And we've got ourselves a grid. So looks like a pretty easy one to do. Inside the grid, you might want to put a little dot just to know where you're starting. Oh, sorry, glare. Okay, but you're going to do sort of a teardrop shape, starting in the middle, going out toward the corner, up into the corner, and you do that in all four corners. And then you're going to aura around. And then on the third one, you're going to do another little aura and fill that part in. So it's got like an extra bit there. And you can put these little lines in. Those aren't shown in there, but stick some lines in there. Or as a variation, don't put that little dark part and just do that aura and do some lines this way. Either of those will work. And here we go. There's the sample. She colored a little bit in. All right, so we're going to give that a go. This is string 41. Trying to decide if I want to use it on the string. I think I will. So I'm actually going to just draw it in the pen. Give myself a border. Okay. And then cross one way and then divide it this way. And then I'm going to use this like that to put this, let's see, it needs to go this way in order to be kind of square, right? Be approximately, I can make my spacing better if I do that. Like that. And then down here I'm going to do them again, but I'm going to do them maybe slightly wonky. I think slightly wonky would be a good idea. That way I have a little bit of difference going on here. There, like that. So that one's going to go straight and that one's going to go wonky like that. Okay. Zoom in a bit. We are going to start just in one of them and make ourselves this teardrop up into the corner. I did not start in the middle of that square. Oh well. Matters not. Because by the time you get all of your pieces in there, I mean, not only did I not get in the middle, but see that one? That one's very wonky. I have wonky lines. They just happen. I had somebody on my YouTube channel ask about being able to draw less shaky and being able to space their lines better. You know, my lines are not always perfectly spaced, but I just do the best I can. If you took a ruler out and measured from here to here and from here to here, those are not the same. They look similar, but they're not the same. And I can see just with my eye that this line isn't parallel to that one because that's a little not square, it's a little off. And it's this line seems to be parallel to that one, but this one seems to be a little off. So this square and that square are a little off. But that's okay. You know, it doesn't have to be perfectly straight. If you really are concerned about perfectly straight, go ahead and use a ruler. But look how far off I am. I'm that far off. I'm not straight. It's not. That's not too bad. I did a pretty good job there. But that one is not straight. But use a ruler if you want to. I personally don't like using rulers. Mostly because I like my artwork to feel hand-drawn. And for me, if I use a ruler, it starts to look computer-made. And for me, that is not what I want. Well, for one thing, it wouldn't be Zen for me. If I started using a ruler and everything had to be perfectly straight and measured exactly, you know, it would stress me out. And it would bother me if I ended up with one that was not exactly perfect. Whereas where I've got a hand-drawn tile, 90% of it is not perfect. And so it doesn't bother me. You know, perfection is not what we're going for here. What we're going for here is the enjoyment of the drawing process. So if you're enjoying yourself, matters not if your lines are wonky. And yes, wonky is a perfectly good word. Somebody made mention of the word wonky. And it's actually, if you Google it, it's an actual word in a dictionary somewhere, meaning wobbly or not straight, wonky. Perfectly good word. One of my favorites. So, you know, live yourself a wonky life. It's okay. Your life can be wonky. Life is always wonky. I don't know anybody's life that's perfect and in order and going the way you planned it. Because, you know, I don't know about your life, but my life rarely goes the way I had anticipated. But it seems to me that if your life went exactly according to plan at all times, I mean, it's nice to have a respite from the craziness where it's not going to plan at all. But if it went according to plan at every moment of the day, you'd get bored. Because we are creatures of the novel. We want something new and exciting in our lives. Otherwise, you know, why would we create new stuff all the time if we weren't creatures who loved new and novel and something different? We crave that, something new. And so, you know, that's going to be about here. That's going to be this hard one here. Okay, that looks good. I think I've done that properly. I think my petal shapes might be a bit skinny. I over here, I'm going to try to make them a little rounder instead of so skinny. But I think it's correct. So now we need to do some aura-ing. So what I'm trying to say is that wonky is good, but also, you know, she said, how do I, you know, how do I make a better line? And the only thing I can say is to practice. Practice, practice, practice. That's one thing I think is kind of frustrating to me, is that people who are relatively new to any art form, but this one in particular, the patterns themselves lend it that anyone can do this art form. I truly believe anyone can do this. However, new people seem to think that they can do it with the same precision of line that those who have been drawing for a long time have managed to create. So they feel like they can't do it. I can't do it like Dawn does it, or I can't do it like Ina or Annie or you know, Nicole or Alina Light. I can't draw like that. Well, you can. But just think about it. Okay, not counting my personal artwork where I do it, you know, in my sketchbooks, which you've seen. If you haven't seen my sketchbooks, go to my channel, search for Flip Through, and you know, I've shown you three. I think I've shown you 3 sketchbooks, or maybe more, of all my artwork, right? And they're larger than tiles, those sketchbooks. So those pieces of art, you know, most of my videos take a half hour or 40 minutes or something like that to draw a tile, depending on how complex the design is, right? And so think about it. Just for my YouTube videos, I have over 450 YouTube videos on right now. And I've done that over 1 year. So that is more than one a day. That's over 200 hours of drawing. That's how I get my hand so steady. I've drawn on screen well over 200 hours. So that's all it is it's not that I'm doing anything magical or that I have some special talent that somebody else doesn't have. I just draw a lot. That's it. Simple. That's the simple answer to that question, is I just draw a lot. So I would hazard a guess that I draw on average 1 to 2 hours a day. Some days I don't draw at all. And then other days I spend all day, you know, I spend 4 hours drawing. So I imagine that on average I draw about an hour a day. So, you know, that's 365 to 400 hours a year just making lines. If you drew straight little lines for 400 hours, you'd get good at them. Doesn't mean that you can't do it. That's frustrating too. Wow. I saw somebody's post, not on about Zentangle, but about their painting. That just give me a moment. I need to take a sip of water. Okay. Okay, let's try this in these less standard grid. See what happens. I'm going to put a dot in the middle of each of these squares just so I have a reference point to put that middle piece, especially now that these squares are no longer square. I need kind of a guide point there. Okay, that's better. And I'm going to try to make a little bit wider of a petal like that. Like that. Just so I have room to put these. I like this kind of like that in the middle. I didn't have room for it in those ones. Something like that. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, yes. Somebody in one of my art groups about their painting said that they were really proud of what they had accomplished. And they were doing faces. And faces are hard. They are hard. And she thought that she had done a pretty darn good job considering that she's new at doing faces. And she had shown it to a member of her family. And that member of the family said, you know, I love your art, but you shouldn't be doing faces. You're not any good at them. How crushing is that? Seriously. You shouldn't do faces because you're not good at them. When you're brand new. You know, she's probably practiced maybe, I don't know. I'm going to say that it probably took her maybe 4 or 5 hours to do this painting. I'm guessing. Maybe it took less, maybe it took more. But I'm just going to guess that if I was doing this painting, it might have taken me 4 or 5 hours to do. At the level that she managed. And I thought she'd done a great job. And, but you know, a family member said that she should stop doing portraits because she can't do them. Don't do faces anymore because you're terrible at it. Okay, well, especially when she said she's brand new at it and it's the first face she's ever done. It's like telling a toddler, well, you better stop learning how to walk because you keep falling over and you're never going to learn. You're terrible at walking. You might as well just crawl the rest of your life because you'll never be able to walk. We don't do that to toddlers, do we? No. You know, you might as well stop bothering trying to learn how to read because you don't know how now, and so why bother? What the heck? That just, oh, it just really irritated me. Really irritated me. I'm sorry. I'm mad that this happens a lot, especially in the art world. Seems to be that in other areas of your life, you know, if you picked up a guitar for the very first time and you made some sounds, but it wasn't a song, you just made some sounds, people would say, you know, oh, look, they're practicing the guitar. They're making sounds. It's not a song yet. They're just making sounds. They're practicing the guitar. Maybe they're practicing, you know, just two notes, C and G, over and over again. It's kind of boring and it's not a song and it's becoming irritating. But they're practicing the guitar, right? Same thing with piano. Practicing the piano. They're doing scales. Up and down, back and forth, highs and lows, learning chords, whatever. You know, kids are learning how to ride a bicycle. Mom and dad are standing there, holding on to the back, making sure they can balance. You do not expect, you know, yes, the child is physically capable of moving the pedals on the bicycle, pumping them with their feet and making the pedals go round and round and propelling the bike. They're physically capable of doing that at that point in their life, right? Because parents have decided that they can ride a bike, that they're old enough to try riding a bike. They're able to pump the bicycle and make it move forward, but they're unable to balance yet. They haven't learned that skill. We don't say, oh, well, you might as well give up riding bikes because you're going to fall over. We don't do that. But we do that in the art world. You pick up a pen or a pencil and you try something for the first time. You've never done it before. And when it doesn't come out perfect, people say, oh, you might as well give up because you can't do it. You do that to yourself too. You go, oh, I'm terrible at this. I can't draw that. I can't draw a stick figure. I can't draw, you know, a face. It looks like a Martian, whatever. You give up too easily. It's practice. That's all it is practice. It's not that you can't do it. And it just frustrates the heck out of me that people do that to each other and you do it to yourself and you tell yourself you can't do it. Stop. Stop doing that. Now, it's completely different if you have a physical limitation that you physically can't do it. You know, if you have something that prevents you, and I'm not talking about art, but just in life in general, you know, if there is something that physically prevents you from doing something, it doesn't mean that it can't eventually be accomplished if you really try. It just means it's a lot harder for you. You know, I know a lot of people who are in chronic pain, and doing a particular movement, perhaps bicycling, perhaps just walking, causes physical discomfort and pain. And they can do it for a short period of time, but they can't. They're never going to be marathon runners because, you know, just walking down to the mailbox and back causes physical discomfort and pain. I get that. But barring, you know, something physical or even something mental, you know, I totally get the whole, you know, if you have anxiety about something, that could cause issues, because I've got those same sort of mental anxiety things that happen in parts of my life. And yeah, those are parts that I will often avoid a particular thing because of a mental thing I have about a particular. For example, I am terrified of heights. And it's not the physical height that is the problem, because you know, like, I can be physically up on the 30th floor of a building. That doesn't bother me, and I can look out the window. That doesn't bother me, although it bothers somebody I know. They have real issues. They can't go up in high buildings. But so it's not the physical height, it's the fear of falling is more of my issue. And so there are some things I just, my brain, I just don't do. Like ladders. I don't like going up on ladders. I can, and I have, but I need a support of some kind when I go up the ladder. And so my ladder has to be much taller than the height of where I'm trying to get. You know, if I'm trying to go up 2 feet, 3 feet, then I need like a 6-foot ladder. So I have plenty of stuff up there to hang on to. It's just what I have to have. I don't do step stools very well because step stools have no place for me to hang on to. So even though I'm only going up maybe 1 foot, even 15, 16 inches, 20 inches, not up very high. The height isn't the problem. It's the fear of falling. And yeah. So, you know, I get myself a step stool that has one of those little handle, like carrying loop things, that has a spot where I can hold on while I'm stepping up. And then I'm fine. I just have to find another way to do it, because I know I have this mental thing about falling. And I know where it came from. And it's, you know, something in my past, and I know where it came from, and I know that it exists, and I know that it's psychological. I know all of these things, but at the same time, it doesn't stop my body from reacting in this negative way when it feels like it needs something. I'm going to just make it bigger right there. In a negative way when I am trying to step up a ladder. Just, you know, it's one of those things. So like I don't go hiking on mountain trails, because I know there will be a place where I will get where there will be a drop off, and it may not be a very big drop off, but there will be a drop off where I have no place. I'm too close to the edge, and I have no place where I can hang on. But my husband knows that, and he knows that if I'm going to be hiking someplace with him, he needs to be near me so that he can be my handhold. He can be my rock. He can be that thing that makes me so that I can go forward. I like that. What do you guys think? Needs a little shading. But where I started with this is that you need to, you know, do what you need to do, be comfortable in it, I am not doing well here. String number 41. But don't give up without trying and practicing, you know. And don't beat yourself up for being a beginner. There's nothing wrong with being a beginner. Absolutely nothing. Which direction do I want these to be? I think I want this to be on top of that. And in order to achieve that, I'm going to put a shadow right here. Just like that. Sometimes when we say we can't do something, we actually mean we don't want to do something, but we don't want to say we don't want to do something. Because a lot of that mental thing that I go through, I do that in some other areas of my life that's not things I want to share right now, but there are other areas in my life where I get a mental thing and I start to panic. And I literally have had panic attacks. And so when I get into situations where I've had those panic attacks, I don't want to do that again. I don't want to have that panic attack. And so I tend to then avoid those particular situations. And I sometimes tell myself, oh, well, I can't do that. I can't do that because I'll have a panic attack. I know perfectly well in my head that I can do it. I can physically do whatever it is that I'm talking about. But I also know that I can do it, but I may have a panic attack. And I have to really want to do it more than I'm afraid of the panic attack. And most of the time, it's just not worth the effort that I need to go to get past the panic attack. So I don't do it. And luckily for me, most of these things that I've had panic attacks before are in situations that are uncommon and I, don't have to deal with on a daily basis. I just really feel badly for those of you guys who may have panic attacks during normal events of the day. I feel so bad for you guys. I have a girlfriend who ended up on medications because the simple act of going to the grocery store brought on a panic attack, and she couldn't feed her family because she couldn't go to the grocery store, and that was just horrible. And I didn't understand it at the time because I'd never experienced a panic attack at that point in my life. But now that I have, I totally get it. I totally get how paralyzing that can be. Luckily for me, my panic attacks have been, like I said, in areas where I can just avoid that thing and just not do that again. And my life would not change in any way. As a matter of fact, there was one where I knew that the situation could cause a panic attack for me. And I tried anyway, which I felt really proud of myself for trying anyway. Darn panic attack started, and I was not in a very safe place. But my husband came to my rescue. He's a sweetheart. And he came and he got me out of the situation. Got me somewhere where I felt safe. And I stopped panicking. And I know now that I just shouldn't do that. But doesn't mean that I can't go on the event. It happened to be something where we were on vacation. And, I can go and I can take pictures of other people doing the event. I just can't do it myself. But at least I tried. And I think, if I had the motivation, and if I had the support, and if I had the time, I could probably work through that panic attack and be able to do that event. I should be able to get through it with enough gumption, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, and I don't have the support. Well, I might have the support, but I don't have the time or the money to go on that vacation and try that thing over and over until I stop panicking. So I'll just avoid it. It's okay. Anyway, I've rambled on. You guys have learned something about me that I don't know if I really planned on sharing, but all right, there we go. Practice. Practice and draw. Draw and practice. You want to get better? Draw. That's it. Simple. You want to get better at drawing? Draw. You want to get better at bike riding? Ride the bike. You want to get better at playing a guitar? Play the guitar. You want to get better at running? Run. Do not expect to be a marathon runner when you've never run around the block. Do not expect to be a YouTube Zentangle artist when you've made 3 tiles. I mean, it just, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours for years. I've been Zentangling for 4 years, and I've been doing YouTube videos for a year. I've probably drawn, I'm going to guess, over the last 4 years, I have probably put in 1,000 hours, at least, drawing Zentangles. So yeah, I'm probably better at it than somebody who just picked up a pen. Doesn't mean that I have an inherent thing where I'm better than you. I'm not. You can be as good or better than I am. It's just practice. It's just muscle memory. You can do this. I believe in you. I do. So for the person who feels that they're shaky and they can't get their line spacing good, really look close at mine. Seriously, look closely here. Can I get it in focus? Are those perfect? Not in the least. Not in the least. That spacing is not consistent. That's much thinner, that's thicker, that's really thick. You know, I didn't even get my pen right up against the edge there. This one overhangs a little bit. It's not perfect. Look at how that one has got this little whoop in it. This one's pretty good. I like that one. This one's not so good. That one's nice and smooth. They're not perfect. But you back out. And now can you find my quote-unquote mistakes? Not really. It's part of the whole picture. Sorry for rambling on, but you know, really bugs me when you put yourself down or other people put you down for not being a professional when you haven't put in the time and the hours to be a professional. That's all. You want to be better at it? Practice it. That's all. Simple. You don't have time to practice? Well, then you're not going to be as good as you maybe could be if you practice more. Doesn't mean you're not good. It means you could be better. That's all it is. Really, that's all it is, people. Very simple. I'm going on. I should stop. All right, you guys have a blessed day. I hope that some of what I've said has touched you and that you either practice more or do something else that you really want to do more of, that you are encouraged to do that, even if you feel like you're not doing a good job now, that in the future you can do a better job because you will have practiced and practiced and practiced, and then you will get better. It's the only way. It really just is simple as that. It's complicated and simple at the same time. You guys have a great day. I will see you tomorrow. I've just yammered on. Bye.